Part 1. The Invitation. Date: a crisp autumn evening, October 31st, Halloween. A young woman, Anya, stood at the edge of the village, her gaze fixed on the ancient, crumbling mansion that loomed over the valley. The locals whispered dark tales about the place, claiming it to be the former residence of a notorious sorcerer who had made a pact with the devil himself. Anya, ever the skeptic, had always dismissed these stories as mere folklore. But tonight, as the wind howled through the trees and the moon cast eerie shadows, she felt an inexplicable pull towards the mansion. A strange, almost hypnotic glow emanated from the mansion's windows, drawing Anya closer. As she approached the imposing gates, they creaked open of their own accord, revealing a cobblestone courtyard bathed in an unnatural, ethereal light. Hesitantly, Anya stepped inside. The mansion's interior was a labyrinth of dimly lit corridors and dusty rooms, each filled with an oppressive silence. The only sound was the faint echo of her footsteps. As Anya ventured deeper into the mansion, she stumbled upon a grand, ornate library. A single flickering candle illuminated a leather-bound tome resting on a heavy oak desk. Intrigued, Anya picked up the book and began to read. The pages were filled with strange symbols and arcane diagrams, accompanied by cryptic, almost prophetic text. As she read, Anya felt a growing sense of unease. The book seemed to be speaking directly to her, promising untold power and knowledge in exchange for a single, terrible sacrifice. As Anya pondered the offer, a chilling voice echoed through the library. "So you have chosen to accept my terms?" The voice was deep and resonant, filled with a sinister undertone. Anya turned, her heart pounding in her chest. Standing before her was a tall, shadowy figure cloaked in darkness. The figure's eyes glowed with an unnatural, otherworldly light. "Yes," Anya replied, her voice barely a whisper. "I accept your terms." And so, the devil's deal was made. Part 2. The Pact. The shadowy figure, who Anya now understood to be the devil himself, smiled a chilling smile. "Very well. You have made a wise choice. But remember, the price is steep." Anya felt a shiver run down her spine. She knew what the sacrifice would be, but she was determined to see it through. The promise of power and knowledge was too tempting to resist. The devil extended a skeletal hand towards Anya. She hesitated for a moment, but then placed her own hand in his. A surge of energy coursed through her, filling her with a sense of exhilaration and dread. As the devil's grip tightened, Anya felt a sharp pain in her chest. She gasped, her vision blurring. When her sight returned, she was standing in a desolate, barren wasteland. The sky was a sickly shade of green, and the air was thick with the stench of decay. "This is your new home," the devil said, his voice echoing through the desolate landscape. "A place where you can wield your newfound power without fear of retribution." Anya looked around, her heart pounding in her chest. She was alone, surrounded by an endless expanse of nothingness. But as she looked up at the sky, she saw a faint flicker of light. It was a star, a beacon of hope in the darkness. "I will not forget you," Anya whispered, her voice barely audible over the howling wind. "I will use my power to make a difference." The devil chuckled. "We shall see." With that, he vanished, leaving Anya alone in the desolate wasteland. As she stood there, staring at the distant star, she knew that her life would never be the same again. She had made a pact with the devil, and the consequences would be far-reaching. Part 3. The Transformation. Anya's life in the desolate wasteland was harsh and unforgiving. The days were long and monotonous, filled with endless toil and the constant threat of starvation. But despite the hardships, she refused to give up. She was determined to use her newfound power to make a difference, to create a better world. One day, as she was wandering through the wasteland, Anya stumbled upon a small oasis. A crystal-clear spring bubbled up from the ground, surrounded by lush greenery. The sight of the oasis filled her with hope. Perhaps, she thought, there was still a chance for redemption. As Anya drank from the spring, she felt a strange, tingling sensation in her body. She closed her eyes and concentrated, focusing on the power that flowed within her. Slowly, the tingling intensified, spreading throughout her entire being. When Anya opened her eyes, she was no longer the same person. Her body had undergone a miraculous transformation. Her skin was now a radiant, ethereal glow, and her eyes sparkled with an otherworldly light. She could feel the power coursing through her, a potent force that could shape the world to her will. With her newfound abilities, Anya began to rebuild the wasteland. She summoned the earth, shaping it into fertile fields and lush forests. She called upon the water, creating rivers and lakes to nourish the land. She even harnessed the power of the sun, using it to generate warmth and light. As the wasteland transformed into a paradise, Anya's reputation spread far and wide. People from all corners of the world flocked to her, seeking her wisdom and guidance. She became a symbol of hope, a beacon of light in a world shrouded in darkness. But even as Anya's power grew, she never forgot the price she had paid. She remembered the desolate wasteland, the sacrifices she had made, and the pact she had made with the devil. She knew that her newfound power came at a cost, and she was determined to use it wisely. Part 4. The Dark Side. As Anya's power grew, so too did the temptation to use it for selfish ends. She began to see herself as above the laws of mortals, a being of pure energy and infinite potential. The more she indulged in her newfound power, the more she became consumed by a sense of arrogance and entitlement. One day, a young traveler named Ethan arrived at Anya's paradise. He was a simple soul, seeking a place of peace and tranquility. Anya was immediately drawn to him, recognizing his purity and innocence. She offered him a place to stay, and Ethan gladly accepted. As Ethan spent time with Anya, he began to see a darker side to her. He noticed her growing arrogance, her obsession with power, and her disregard for the needs of others. Ethan tried to warn her, but Anya dismissed his concerns. One night, as Ethan was sleeping, Anya was overcome by a surge of dark energy. She felt a powerful urge to test her limits, to see just how far she could push her abilities. Without thinking, she unleashed a wave of destructive force, leveling the entire village. When Ethan awoke, he found the village in ruins. His friends and family were all gone, victims of Anya's reckless act. He confronted Anya, his eyes filled with anger and betrayal. Anya, however, was unrepentant. She claimed that she had done nothing wrong, that she was merely exercising her right as a powerful being. Ethan was horrified by Anya's cruelty. He realized that she had become a monster, a creature of darkness consumed by her own power. He knew that he had to stop her, no matter the cost. With a heavy heart, Ethan turned his back on Anya and left the ruined village. He knew that he had to find a way to break the devil's hold on her, to free her from the darkness that had consumed her soul. Part 5. The Redemption. Ethan's journey was long and arduous. He traveled through treacherous mountains, crossed vast deserts, and braved the dangers of the unknown. But he never lost sight of his goal: to save Anya from the darkness that had consumed her. Finally, after months of searching, Ethan found himself at the edge of a desolate wasteland. It was the same place where Anya had first made her pact with the devil. A shiver ran down Ethan's spine as he stepped into the familiar landscape. As he wandered through the wasteland, Ethan felt a strange pull towards a towering, ancient tree. The tree seemed to radiate a faint, ethereal glow. As he approached it, he heard a voice, soft and gentle. "Ethan," the voice said, "I have been waiting for you." Ethan turned, his heart pounding in his chest. Standing before him was Anya, but she was different. Her eyes no longer glowed with a sinister light, but with a soft, compassionate radiance. Her aura was peaceful, serene. "Anya," Ethan said, his voice trembling, "I thought you were lost." Anya smiled. "I was, but I have found my way back." She explained to Ethan that she had realized the error of her ways. She had seen the destruction she had caused, the pain she had inflicted. She was filled with remorse and regret. With Ethan's help, Anya began to atone for her sins. She used her power to heal the wounds she had inflicted, to restore the land she had ravaged. She became a beacon of hope, a symbol of redemption, and so Anya's story ended, not with destruction and despair, but with redemption and hope. She had learned a valuable lesson about the dangers of unchecked power, and she had found the strength to overcome her darkness. Part 6. The Final Confrontation. As Anya continued her journey of redemption, she sensed a growing darkness spreading across the land. A new evil was rising, a force that threatened to undo all the good she had accomplished. The source of this darkness was a powerful sorcerer named Malachi, who had made his own pact with the devil. Malachi sought to harness the power of the underworld to dominate the world. He had assembled a vast army of demons and undead creatures, and he was preparing to unleash them upon the land. Anya knew she had to stop Malachi before it was too late. She gathered her allies, a small band of brave warriors who had been inspired by her story. Together they marched towards Malachi's fortress, a dark and imposing structure that loomed over a desolate valley. The battle that ensued was fierce and brutal. Anya and her allies fought valiantly, but Malachi's forces were overwhelming. Just when it seemed that all hope was lost, Anya remembered the power she had gained from the devil. She channeled this dark energy, but she used it not for destruction, but for protection. Anya created a barrier around her and her allies, shielding them from Malachi's attacks. As the battle raged on, Anya felt a growing connection to the land. She realized that the earth itself was fighting against the darkness, rising up to defend itself. With a final powerful surge of energy, Anya unleashed a devastating attack on Malachi. The sorcerer was overwhelmed, his dark magic shattered. He fell to the ground, defeated. As Malachi lay dying, he looked at Anya with a mixture of fear and respect. "You have defeated me," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "But remember, the darkness will always return." Anya closed her eyes and concentrated. She felt a surge of power, a connection to something greater than herself. She knew that as long as there was hope, there would always be light. With a final breath, Malachi was gone. The darkness that had threatened to consume the land was vanquished. Anya and her allies had triumphed. As the sun rose over the valley, casting its warm glow upon the ruined fortress, Anya knew that her journey was not over. There would always be new challenges, new threats. But she was ready. She had learned the true meaning of power, and she would use it wisely to protect the world and to spread hope. Part 7. A New Beginning. With the defeat of Malachi, peace returned to the land. Anya and her allies became revered as heroes, their names whispered in awe and admiration. But Anya knew that their work was far from over. The scars of the past ran deep, and there was much to be done to heal the world. Anya dedicated herself to rebuilding the shattered villages and restoring the land. She used her powers to nurture the earth, to heal the wounds inflicted by the dark forces. She also established schools and libraries, spreading knowledge and wisdom throughout the land. As time passed, Anya's influence grew. People from all corners of the world sought her guidance, seeking solace and inspiration. She became a symbol of hope, a beacon of light in a world that had been plunged into darkness. One day, a young woman named Alara arrived at Anya's sanctuary. She was a gifted healer, with a natural ability to soothe the pain of others. Anya recognized Alara's potential and took her under her wing, teaching her the secrets of ancient healing arts. Together, Anya and Alara worked to heal the wounded and the sick. They traveled the land, bringing hope and relief to those in need. Their reputation spread far and wide, and they became known as the healers of the light. As Anya grew older, she realized that it was time to pass on her legacy. She gathered her closest allies and revealed to them the true nature of her powers, the pact she had made with the devil. She warned them of the dangers that lurked in the shadows, and she urged them to be vigilant. With a heavy heart, Anya bid farewell to her friends and family. She ascended to a higher plane of existence, leaving behind a world that was brighter and more hopeful than she had ever imagined. And so, the story of Anya, the woman who made a pact with the devil, came to an end. But her legacy lived on, a testament to the power of hope, redemption, and the enduring spirit of the human heart.